Hey guys, welcome to this video, and in this video I'm going to compare Samsung Galaxy J7 Pro with Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime. So J7 Prime came out last year and J7 Pro has come out this year. So both phones are incredibly similar. They are built very similar to each other, and their specifications are even similar to each other, but there are some key differences here as well between the two phones. So let's go ahead and take a look at the hardware first and take a look at how the phones are built. Now from the front you can see that both phones look incredibly similar to each other, and if you don't know which phone is which, you cannot really tell which one of them is J7 Pro and which one of them is J7 Prime. So they look incredibly similar to each other from the front. So now let's take a look at them from the side. So if we take a look from the side, you can see that both phones are extremely similar. So we have got our volume buttons here. So we have got volume buttons here, we have got SIM tray and then SIM tray and SD card tray here as well. And on the other side we have got our speaker and then power buttons. So absolutely similar and identical. And on the top, nothing is there on the top, and at the bottom again we have got our charging port and our audio jack and then our microphone here as well. Now if we take a look at the back of these phones, you can see that the differences in the back are pretty obvious. So there is a change in the placement of the camera module and the flash, and then Samsung is silver here it's black, and again everything else that's written here is white and it's black on J7 Prime. And then we have got these antenna bands running in this metallic body on J7 Pro, whereas on J7 Prime we have got two plastic pieces at the top and at the bottom. So that's the key difference. And back of these phones is where you can really appreciate the difference between these two phones. However, at the front you cannot appreciate any difference, and they look incredibly similar. Now at the top here you can see that on J7 Pro, which is in my right hand, you can see that the earpiece is black and flushed inside, whereas on the J7 Prime it's silver and bulging outwards. And then we've got a camera here, and then on J7 Pro we have got front flash, whereas there is no flash in J7 Prime. And then if we come at the bottom, again are some primary differences here. So the borders of the home button are black on J7 Pro and they are silver on J7 Prime. So there you go. And then once again the capacitive key icons are silver and white and clearly visible on J7 Prime, and on J7 Pro they are black and not really that visible even if you take a look at them under direct light. So that's what was different in the hardware and in the build quality of these two phones. Now if we take a look at the key specifications of these two phones, they are both running on the same exact Exynos 7870 octa-core processor, same exact Mali T830 MP2 GPU. They've both got 3 gigs of RAM, they have both got 16 gigs of internal storage. But then there are some differences between the two phones. So J7 Pro has got full HD AMOLED screen, whereas J7 Prime has got full HD LCD panel. And then J7 Pro also has always on display. So there you go, you can see here, whereas there is no always on display on J7 Prime. So that's another major difference between these two phones. J7 Pro is running on Android Nougat, whereas J7 Prime is running on Android Marshmallow since it was released last year. And there is NFC in J7 Pro and there is no NFC in J7 Prime. The battery capacity in J7 Pro is 3600 mAh, whereas it's 3300 mAh in J7 Prime. And then there are some camera differences between the two phones. So on J7 Pro, both the front and the back camera are 13 megapixel. A back camera has an aperture of f1.7, whereas the front camera on J7 Pro has an aperture of f1.9. Now if we take a look at the cameras on J7 Prime, the back camera is 13 megapixel with aperture of f1.9, whereas the front camera is 8 megapixel and with aperture of again 1.9. Now that we are done with the hardware, let's talk about the software. here. So both of these phones are running on custom Samsung launcher. I have not installed any third-party launcher. This is how they come. So let's take a look at these launchers. Now if we take a look at J7 Pro, the software here is exactly the same as we saw in Samsung Galaxy S8. So we swipe up to go to the app drawer, swipe up again to go back, but here we have got apps button in J7 Prime, and then we have got our apps here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the differences in the notification panel. So here you can see on J7 Pro it's much more cleaner and simpler, whereas we have got same old circular icons in J7 Prime. So let's go ahead and take a look at the settings on both these phones. So again, a very decluttered, very clean, very simple and straightforward settings panel in J7 Pro, whereas on J7 Prime again we've got tons and tons of options here. So a lot of digging is required for J7 Prime, and then we have got some settings shortcuts on the top, whereas nothing of that sort is present on J7 Pro. Now let's talk about the camera app on both phones. So let's go in the camera app. So there we go. Now take a look at the difference in the camera app on the two phones. So take a look at the layout. It's completely different now. If we swipe from the right, we get these filters on J7 Pro, whereas we go into the gallery in J7 Prime. And if we swipe from the left, we get again modes and settings and stuff on J7 Prime, and we get again same things on J7 Pro as well. So the software differences between the two phones are striking. And look at the adjustment of the buttons down below, the layout of the buttons down below. So there is that, and then on top we have got all these different panels here where you can change the photo size, flash, timer, effects on the top, whereas there is nothing on the top here, just the front facing camera button, flash, and more settings. So you can go in settings, and you can go in settings in both the phones, and there are tons and tons of settings in J7 Pro, and there are only limited settings in J7 Prime. So these are the few major differences between these two phones. That's about it, guys. That was the comparison between Samsung Galaxy J7 Pro and J7 Prime. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or you can catch me up on Twitter as well. The links will be in the description, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Till then, take care. Bye bye.